All right, everyone. Thank you for coming to today's webinar. It's a pleasure to have Justin Clegg, a friend of mine, that we share really kind of the same vision for building products for the home service space. And I just wanted to bring him into this webinar today just to share some of his insights and some of what he's seen from the other side of the spectrum. And thank you, Justin. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Juan. And I can't say enough good things about you, the team that you're building. I'm constantly sharing with my team about what a great guy Juan is, not only from running a successful home service business, but also as a fellow founder and software developer. So, congrats on your success, and thanks for having me on the webinar today.
No problem. Thank you, Justin. All right, so let's get started here with kind of the biggest topic, which is employee hiring and retention. And I want to kind of pick your brain on what you're seeing it's working out there, what's not working, what has changed after the pandemic, and how can we do better to do this hiring and retention of employees.
Yeah, so we are a data-driven software company. So I'm excited to share some of the stats that we've seen from our end and really educate business owners in the cleaning space about the importance of hiring and retention. Really one of the marquee and standout data points that we've seen is that 48% of people quit their job for a job that offered more compensation. And so when you
Wow.
think about that, that's almost half of the workforce. In this case, we have deskless workforces or workers who are looking to get paid. Right? We're running into inflation. The Fed has just increased their rates, and so as we talk about work-life balance, benefits, as we think about the challenge and the difficulty of hiring and retaining people, we have to be smart as business owners about the way that we retain. And the most important factor in job searches, it really comes down to pay, right? And
Yeah.
people are looking to earn more, and we're certainly looking to help solve that.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is that, we don't know how much this inflation will continue at a point where, it starts to really damage all the economy, the ecosystem, because it will affect all of us. And but well, that's more of a political thing. Hopefully, something gets done in that
It's
area.
Yeah, I think practically speaking, I mean, when we talk about cleaning, this is labor intensive, right? We need
Yeah.
vehicles. We need to be able to drive to the 128 million homes. We need to be able to sometimes go back, right, to those homes. We need to
Yeah.
come into the office for, weekly get-togethers and trainings. And all of that costs not only time, but it's also costing in fuel. And the gas prices have gone up, and so um, what we're seeing today is that our customers are competing with corporate America, right? And when we talk about corporate America, it is the McDonald's, Costco,
Hmm.
Walmart, and even some gas stations, ironically, that are
Yeah.
offering 20, 25, $30 an hour, which is significant pay and important. And so our job is to help these businesses retain and make sure that we don't lose sight of how important and necessary the industry is today when it comes to keeping people's homes clean and safe. So,
Definitely. How do you came up with the concept of Allset? I mean, how was the aha
yeah,
moment that it's just like, oh, this is a great idea to build?
yeah. So I worked for really big tech companies before starting to build startups and building
Hmm.
startups. So I led product teams at companies like Intel and Adobe and Oracle, and most people have heard of these companies.
Yeah.
And got to a point where I was very excited about building products and joining startups that were solving important problems.
Yeah.
And so I took that, all of that culmination of experiences and learnings and failures, and I moved to Utah, and I kept sort of observing, during the pandemic, how important and relevant home services became. When you
Yeah.
have more and more people living and working in their own homes, uh, the house starts to see more wear and tear. It starts to see, uh, more time spent. They get dirty faster, right? And so,
Yeah.
as I'm observing that, I started paying attention to the customer experience that takes place in the industry today. And so that customer experience, candidly speaking, Juan, it's very fragmented and
Hmm.
it's flawed and disjointed, right? So when it comes to arriving on time or the communication process or payments, all of those things, just by out of personal experience, I observed they were very broken. And so the industry, we have to step up, right? We have to
Yeah.
be as good as the next technology platform, i.e., Uber or DoorDash or Instacart, where you can literally tap a button on your phone and get something delivered. So, long story short, I spent time observing and then getting out into the field myself and doing the work.
Mm.
I've cleaned homes and I've cleaned carpets and I've
Really?
uh,
That's interesting.
detailed cars myself. Yeah, so we really wanted to understand firsthand, and so
The
we did
problem.
ride-alongs, and it'd be me calling an owner like yourself and saying, "Hey, Juan, you don't know me. This may be a weird ask, but can I come along with your team for an afternoon and hit a couple of homes and really just pay attention to the work that's being done and where the gaps are in the experience. And also, I've learned and gained a lot of empathy for how hard and challenging the work is. So those are things that we have to understand as a business and a company in order to solve and build products for this particular industry.
Definitely. You know, that's something that impresses me because most companies nowadays, rarely go out there and kind of leave the problem and try to then come up with a solution. So I applaud you for that, and I didn't know that. So that is super cool. Now, what is? Let me see my questions here. How how can companies, obviously besides payment or paying more, how can cleaning companies in general, home services, really retain more employees and also retain customers? What strategies, what things do you see ahead that we need to focus to really retain? Because I always say to people that we're like in a marketplace. We have a consumer and we have a cleaner or a technician, and we're in the middle monetizing this relationship. So obviously, in order to grow these businesses, we need to grow this group of two people kind of at the same time. And retaining both is critical because without the employees, you don't have customers, and without customers, you don't have employees. So I
Right.
want to see if you have any insights for us to how can we retain more of these two groups of people.
Yeah, great question. So let's start with the employee side,
Mm-hmm.
since we're talking about retention. We know that it takes an average of 27 days to acquire a new employee in the cleaning service industry.
Okay.
So it takes a full month. And where do these folks come from? Well, 20, I think it's about 25, 26% are going to come from employee referrals. And so great employees find and hire great employees.
Yeah.
So, contrast that to the industry's turnover rate that we have today, which is about 200%. So, so it's expensive, time that we're talking about to be able to replace a new employee, and it's like something like 90 to 200% of a worker's salary, right, to be able to replace each employee. So, um, number one, we have to build referral programs and incentivize and pay your employees for bringing on and introducing us to great talent and great hires. So, for example, at Allset, I believe we have a $750 employee referral program that we pay. And that's, I think, net 90 days. So that employee needs to be at the company for 3 months, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously stay and grow, and then we'll pay out the individual that referred that new hire. And so when there's a monetary gain and incentive, to bring on people, if you're well networked and you like, talking to people and finding great people, it ends up being a great situation for those
Definitely.
folks, and profitable. And so that's kind of, just some insights, I think, on the employee retention side. Build a referral program, build a culture of highlighting your employees. I think when we talk about culture, people will often reference ping pong tables, or
Mm-hmm.
free food. And I think it's really more, what are the unspoken values, that are understood within the organization, and who are kind of the leaders in the organization, and what's the tone and sort of the level of respect that's set within that company. And so, building a great culture is about, creating an environment that is psychologically safe, right? Where team members can be vulnerable with each other, where you can build shared experiences. And, I think uh, every company has a culture, and it's just kind of a matter of what is being done and what's taking place to be able to build a culture that's healthy and productive, and scalable. So, uh, build a great culture, um, and leverage your existing employees to find new great employees, and then just remember that it takes a month to find a new hire in this industry today, and so plan accordingly. That means you should always have an existing pipeline, right?
Yeah.
uh, a pipe hire for employees, if you will, and be ready to bring them on, train them quickly, and build out a very efficient process to do that. So those are just some thoughts on keeping employees, keeping customers. That's a whole different ball game. But I
Yeah.
think at a high level, and Juan, you know this better than most, in particular in cleaning, but it comes down to offering a best-in-class customer experience. It comes down to delighting your customers in
Mm-hmm.
small and subtle ways, smiling, leaving handwritten thank you notes behind, offering touch-ups, or even just having a great customer service where you're responsive, you're replying to questions, reviews, phone calls, and text messages in a timely manner, and making sure that when to set boundaries with clients in terms of your own offering and services, services that are not offered but maybe expected by the customer, and then really just having a sense of um, thinking about recurring revenue and recurring subscriptions, right? I think it should be every cleaning business's goal to take a customer and get them on some sort of recurring plan, whether that's
Definitely.
a monthly cleaning, a biweekly cleaning, uh, and just getting them really locked in so that you can start to have revenue that's predictable and guaranteed moving forward.
Yes, definitely. I was thinking, I'm always thinking on Allset, because I really believe it's a great product. I'm using it, our company's using it, and we found so much value out of it that I say, how can we make it even better? And, because you're offering this post experience, once they finish the job, they text message with the, ask them for a tip, and then a review. And we've grown in our reviews. And I was thinking, now that you mentioned the subscription component, I was like, it will be nice to probably a next step could be, would you like to get in, Gmates or whatever companies every 2 weeks visits, or trying to basically make them subscribe or commit to a subscription, because I understand that, or what I've seen is that when the cleaning is done on that same day, the person comes, sees the job, she or he is amazed about the job. At that point, if you capture the people at that point and you ask them about, would you like to subscribe to recurrent visit, most likely is yes. But if a few days pass by, that emotion goes down. And I always tell my team, try to call on the same day, but it's hard to do that because the support team, salespeople are busy, and you could have 3 4 jobs finishing at the same time. So I was thinking how probably Allset could eventually help us transform those people into recurring customers, and in our dashboard see, okay, somebody's interested, let's reach out, and now let's close the business.
Yeah, you're spot on. And as we think about our vision as a company, and where we want to help the most in the industry, it comes down to automating communication and
Mm-hmm.
automating payments. And so
Correct.
if we can do both of those, the use cases are very exciting. So whether that's, today, most of our businesses we work with love Allset because we can help them generate more tips.
Yeah.
I just reached out to my team and had them pull your stats in real time here.
Oh, good.
Are you okay if I share some of
Yeah,
these buzzwords?
definitely, go ahead.
So I mean, we signed up together, I think just 2 months ago, or
Yeah,
about two and a
more or
half months.
less, in April.
So since that time, Gmates has generated $2,500 in tips, um, with an average tip amount of $22.74. And your highest tip was $50, right?
Yeah.
And that's over about 110 tips. So for you data nerds out there, and sort of the folks, with analytics, and I think this month alone you've done $1,019 in tips. So uh, it's really exciting to kind of use that as a springboard into
Yeah.
saying, hey, let's help you unlock revenue, right? Without
Yeah.
pulling from your bottom line. But to your point, recurring billing, invoicing, text to pay,
Yeah.
all of that's forthcoming, and we're excited to introduce that to the industry.
Definitely. I mean, if you could automate that following up to capture the recurrent visit, I mean, your product will be loved by more people, because that nobody has the time to really be on top of all of those jobs at the same time. And obviously, if you call the customer, they don't pick up the phone. The only way they respond faster these days is by text, and you already have the platform for texting. So help us, please, close recurrent revenue with some
Yeah.
type of feature.
If you're curious, just for fun and food for thought,
Yeah.
is thinking about opportunities also around cross selling and upselling.
Hmm.
So think about a homeowner, who gets their carpet cleaned, and having that insight and that data around when they clean their carpet.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a nice feeling to have your carpet cleaned and the rest of your home cleaned, at the same time, right? And so I'm hopefully certain that Gmades, for example, your own cleaning company,
Hmm.
would be highly interested in that data to know that when
Yeah.
somebody's going to get their carpet cleaned, that's probably a great opportunity to time that. And that's an example of a cross sell or an upsell opportunity.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. I mean, I'm a big believer in text marketing. We do a lot of text marketing by areas. So, for example, in a zip code in downtown where we have a couple of open spots today, the sales team sends a text message just to that zip code saying, "Hey, we have this opening. Would you like to take it? The price, has a small discount." And 95% of the time we get the response, yeah, sure. And obviously I've been collecting my customers zip codes and emails and cell phones for years, so I can pinpoint exactly this zip code, this message, and send it the day before, and by the next day it's already sold. So we that's how I usually do. So I'm a big believer in text versus email.
On
And
you and I, when we go to conferences together, it's almost dangerous because we can't even focus on the event itself. There's so many
yeah,
great ideas for us that we're always talking about. Um,
I
I
got
mean,
more, but
even a recent, I'm always just learning from you. So I remember one topic we'd even discussed was, this concept of, when a cleaning business is, you know, going to a specific home on a street or in a neighborhood, why is it that everybody in that neighborhood is not aware of that service or that
mhm,
availability? And, if you could find ways to essentially communicate and share out to those neighboring homes
yeah,
that, Gmades is going to be in town. What a cool opportunity to not only
oh,
save on those gas prices of
totally.
the back and forth, but now you can just handle scheduling kind of all in a very singular location, which makes it more efficient.
Oh,
And
definitely. This density component, I mean, we had to, in Dallas is so large that we had to reduce our service area because now driving to, Frisco, for example, has become expensive. You're gonna spend $20 just on gas
yes,
alone. So that eats into the employee profit or wage. And we always have challenge with the density, and we say we're driving millions of homes or thousands of homes on the side, why we cannot clean all these houses? And
yeah,
it's a problem is, yeah, our customers do not share typically with their neighbors all these that we're visiting their home. So I imagine that eventually Allset could really help us push to that next levels. Like they send the text, they get the tip. Now maybe insert a referral text or a way to share with their friends, their family. Hey, Gmates is cleaning my house, and they
yeah.
come every Friday. Now we're starting to create density in that same zip code, that
It's
area, and I mean,
it's
it could
it's
be earth shattering.
Yeah, it's reminding me of, everybody knows their garbage day, right? And
Yeah,
everybody knows exactly what day the night before. If
yeah,
you're like me, it's like the morning of, you're rushed, but everybody
yeah,
knows what day their trash can needs to be left on the street.
correct.
And it's a weekly experience and everybody's aligned. So
Yeah.
there could be an interesting path where it becomes, look, this is the week that Gmades comes to our neighborhood, and let's make sure that we're signed up.
Yeah.
You talk about texting, and there's tons of fascinating data points there. I think it's average person is checking their phone 160 times a day.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and the main feature on a smartphone, used by 97% of Americans, it's texting, right? So, um, and as my phone goes off, right? So
No worries.
Um, so there's yeah, I think a lot of really great reasons why business owners should be focusing on automating their customer experience and automating text messaging for sure.
And I think, and I'm always thinking on improving operations in our business, and I don't think Jobber or one of these other scheduling systems will go that far into SMS communication. They're very focused on putting the schedule, closing the job, charging the customer. But I'm always thinking, and this is something that bugs me a lot, is that the schedule is disconnected from marketing, has always been. And I'm always thinking, how can I pre-sale spots in the future without having to send email letters? And I was thinking, okay, let me build something that will see my schedule into the future and send text messages, you know, to customers in those zip codes that there will be somebody there, but there is a spot open in that zip code. So I can basically condensate more my route. And if you notice, think about it, you don't see scheduling connected to marketing. It's always disconnected.
Yeah.
and that is, I feel that, Allset could probably fill in that void. Is like, hey, we're seeing your Java calendar. We can do all this for you by allowing us to text customers to subscriptions, text to pre-sale spots in the future, text to tip, I mean, there is so much opportunity that, help us gain revenue, condensate our service areas. Because I don't know how this gas thing is gonna continue, but I mean, if they keep raising this price, I mean, they're gonna shatter the economy big time, because nobody's gonna want to do anything, and the prices of services are just gonna go higher and higher, and customers are gonna say, "Hey, forget it. I'm gonna clean my own house," and we're hoping that, this president or whoever is behind that really can help us, because it could kill this home service economy pretty quickly, because once the customers starts to drop the services, it gets ugly, because now we've fought all these months or these years to get people to hire to work,
Yep.
and now we don't want to let these people go. So I mean, us as small businesses have a really huge challenge ahead, and I think hopefully working us together, we can help them or help us,
Yeah.
survive and grow in these changing times.
Yeah. And, look, I'm very optimistic about the market and, and hearing the interest. The good news is homes and homeowners are not going away, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'd mentioned earlier, you have 128 million homes, in the US. All of them need to be cleaned. And the demand, right, is not going to go away.
Correct.
And we have 1.5 million cleaners in the U.S., right, that are interested in continuing to do some of this important and noble work. So I think one, uh, these tools are going to continue to be important. You mentioned Jobber, and a lot of businesses use the customer factor, House Call
Hmm.
Pro,
Yeah.
in this space. Sometimes we see ZenMaid. And I think the important thing to note is that those systems are very good at scheduling and operations, right? They're
Correct.
very good at helping manage uh, the customers. But the irony is that they're called customer relationship managers, but there's no relationship that's taking place in these systems.
That's true.
And that's kind of where Allset steps in. Is we help you uh, communicate and establish that relationship in such a way where it's all about unlocking revenue. So, and
Yeah.
it's something that the CRMs need today.
I think Allset's slogan could be helping you unlock revenue.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's actually our mission statement
Oh,
as a
okay.
company, and we
Okay.
have it written on our whiteboard in our kitchen right now. So
Yeah, definitely. Because, I mean, you're literally pulling millions of dollars out that were hitting in people's pockets, that were not hitting the paycheck of the employee. And I think what you're doing is really huge, and the impact is huge. And I mean, you're just getting started with Allset, and I think as time goes by, I mean, this could become billions of dollars that you're getting out of the economy into people's hands and workers. And, and $20 for somebody that's, a customer that's, I don't know, making 150, $200,000 a year, $20 here, $20 there, doesn't make an impact in their life, but it does make an impact to all the workers out there doing their service. So, I
um,
mean, my employees are happy because this is like free money, and we're paying for your product very happily, and we're just giving this money back to our employees, and they feel like the gas impact has diminished a bit with these constant tips coming in. So I think you're really helping support us at this point a lot.
we met at CBF Live, you and I think for the first time, and
Mm-hmm.
we met Debbie Sardone, and who's been a big supporter and advocate
Yeah.
of I think both of us and what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's why we were invited, both of us as vendors there. And
Correct.
one of the most, I guess, powerful or profound pieces of feedback we heard from somebody who had signed up at that event was, I'm paying Allset to give my employees a raise, right? And
Correct.
we just hearing what that means, right, to these employees, knowing that that dollar, gets stretched without pulling from the bottom line. It's important. And so, thanks for, your support and mentioning that and calling that out. And,
Yeah.
we're going to stop unlocking revenue
Yeah.
for these businesses.
I think this is one of the most important pieces of software I've implemented in the last years that really makes money. Most of the other ones, help you run the business definitely, but this one is like you're exchanging a couple of dollars for more dollars.
Yeah. And we could go into some of the tipping data points, but at a high level, tipping is a $40 billion industry in the United States.
Hmm.
And that statistic and value is really only attributed towards restaurants and salons. And so the
Okay.
question that we kind of sat up and scratched our heads on was, why would you tip in all of these other industries, right? Cleaning, outdoor care, any home service.
Yeah.
And why would they be any less deserving, right, to
Yeah.
receive those tips? And so, we asked the question, what does a world look like where, instead of businesses running and operating on Venmo, they're handling all of their sort of invoicing and tipping on Allset's, text to pay platform. A
Yeah.
world where consumers are tipping when it's convenient for them, not when it's an awkward ask. So we'll see people
Yeah.
tipping like $50 at 1 a.m. 2 days after a service appointment or after their house was cleaned. Maybe it's 4 days and we're scratching our heads and we're like, why would they tip 4 days later? And it's, oh, well, they were on vacation.
What is the average tip? Not the tip amount, but the response time where they tip. How many days or hours after the job is
That's a
completed?
that's a really good question. I don't have that data point off the top of my head. It's something that I am curious about. If I were to just give you a gut, check,
Hmm.
I would say probably 2.5 hours would
Oh
be
wow,
an average response time.
pretty
And
pretty
so
quick.
it could be shorter, but we'll see, people leave tips days, after a service appointment. So, and that's because they were out of town, they were on vacation, and it's now kind of this to-do list item that they look at, when they go into their, SMS or
Messages.
text message inbox, right? Um, but the consumer behavior data is exciting. The average
Hmm.
tip amount is $25. And Allset is now approaching 1.5 million in annualized tips that we generate for our customers. And so that's in really a very short period of time, just in about 5-6 months.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
huge.
expect that number to continue growing in the near future here.
Definitely, you will. All right. Let's start to wrap up here. How can customers, or excuse me, how can companies set out to be somewhat different in the marketplace? Obviously, there's so many companies for house cleaning and for everything. How can they use this customer best experience or service to kind of differentiate themselves from the rest? Because I see, and as more years go by, I've been 17 years in this business. I see that we are all looking similar. We're pretty much the same companies across. And I'm trying to find and help, some of our customers is like, how can you differentiate yourself from so many cleaning companies? Do you have any word of advice, anything that you can maybe point us in the right direction?
Yeah, well, I just need to mention 17 years. That's basically as old as I am. So I'm just kidding. That's a really exciting amount of time. Congrats again on the expertise. I feel like I'm always learning from you. So yeah, how to differentiate your service business. We call these like ankle biters, right? Or chuck in a truck, where anybody can go and start, a cleaning company today.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what are the moats, and what is the sort of most the area of defensibility that you can create between you and the next individual guy or gal down the street? And I would say, number one, you can compete on online presence. So having more Google reviews that are relevant and recent, I think
Mm-hmm.
is important. You've got to get as close as you can to that 5-star rating. I look for businesses using Google Maps, right? So I'll type in cleaning and Google Maps. I'm looking at the top 4 or 5, highest rated companies.
Yeah.
And so I think that's number one. The second is competing on customer experience. So what is it that your business is doing, from an experiential standpoint beyond just the service itself? So when I talk about experiences, I'll give you an example. I have a dentist that I go to sometimes. I shouldn't say sometimes, at least, every 6 months. And I walk in and they have fresh, hot chocolate chip cookies that they're serving. And you think about the irony. Why would a dentist serve hot chocolate chip cookies?
Yeah.
But guess what? They're the only dentist that serves chocolate chip cookies. And I'm talking to you about it, right?
Yeah.
So now you want to go to a dentist with hot
Chocolate
chocolate
chip.
chip cookies. And so you have to kind of identify as a business, what is your chocolate chip cookie moment, right? That
Mm-hmm.
your own customers are going to experience. Maybe you're leaving physical chocolate behind. Maybe it's handwritten notes. Maybe your team dresses in a certain way, or your vans are branded in a certain way. We have a
Mm-hmm.
customer in Utah called Mint Cleaning, and they have
Yeah, I've
these
seen.
bright mint trucks everywhere. And when that truck's on your driveway, you look cool, right? Because
Definitely.
they're cool looking cars.
Yeah.
And so whether that's branding, whether that's experiential marketing, whether that's your customer experience of how quickly you communicate or follow up, or how simple or frictionless your experience is. Customers prefer to pay through text to pay instead of an emailed invoice, that they pay
Definitely.
2 weeks later. And so some of those experiences, as they become delightful, now you're becoming memorable and you're setting yourself apart from your competition. And so those are just some thoughts. And then finally, culture that we've talked about earlier in our webinar today.
Yeah.
If you can build a culture that's attractive online, like, hey, I want to be at that company. I want to work for Google because Google offers free breakfast, lunch, and dinner all day long. I want to work for Gmaids because I know that Juan is, going to take good care of his people. And I know that everybody I've talked to them, over there, they've had some wonderful experiences. They all got to go on a trip to Colombia once as a team. I don't know.
Yeah, we've sent people to Miami. Every
Amazing.
six months we do best attendance basically. So we keep
Okay.
track of attendance through Pipehire, and then every 6 months we make a cut who's the best or the top three people with the best attendance, and we once a year it's a trip out of Dallas, and then every
Amazing.
six, and then the summer is local. And we've sent two people to Miami, and we go out there, meet with them, talk to them, and have a nice dinner or something. And I mean, some of these employees have never been on a plane,
Wow.
and for them it's mind shattering just to jump on a plane, go to Miami, go to South Beach, be in a hotel, all paid by the company.
Well, and it's
And
it's everything you're describing is it's this virtuous cycle, right?
yeah.
Because I would rather work for your company, knowing that there's a cool experience on the line. I could go on this trip. I've talked to other people who've done it, and then I come back and now I'm reinvigorated to want to work for you, right? Because
Hmm.
I want to go on the next one, or I know that there's going to be more opportunities like that in the future. So and that ties nicely back into retention, right? Is
Yeah.
you have to take care of your people. So
Yeah, hiring is talked a lot, but retention is not. And you have to first fix the leak before you keep adding people. And I see this challenge with a lot of companies is like the retention component is missing, so they keep just adding new people and then going out, adding, going out.
Yeah.
And the first way to really start fixing this problem is to fix and do whatever is necessary to keep those people that are already in the company and before bringing new people. So that is kind of my best piece of advice for those that are trying to hire new people. We all need more people, but why don't we take care of the ones that are here already and try to improve their lives in some way, somehow, before adding new people? I
Well,
recently, I'm
well said.
redoing my benefits now because, you know, they need to be improved to keep these people in. And so there's a lot of things can be done for retention.
Yeah, 100% on board with everything you've shared. If you can offer, strong health, dental, 401k, and then even I've seen companies go as far as, pet insurance and mental
Oh my
health
gosh.
insurance and, covering for needs. But you have to build, this sort of relationship between love and work. And
Yeah.
um, people want to people want to be able to love being at work, and love what they do and have purpose. And it's that's an important part of culture. And I know you're already good at doing that today.
Yeah, our generation definitely wants to be working at a meaningful place where they have connection with the owners. They share kind of the same vision, and all these things are important. Cool. It's been an amazing chat with you. Do you have anything you want to mention, Justin? Anything? How can we find you? How can we contact you?
Yeah, for sure. So we have an exclusive offer for Pipe Hire listeners
Oh,
on
cool.
this webinar. So our offer is actually $100 off our monthly subscription. So that comes out to 149 a month, and then we also are including a free 30-day trial. And so we'd love to share the link. I'll provide that now in the Zoom chat, and then also
Yeah.
uh, share that on Facebook Live for those who are listening in. So we'd love to have our listeners who are on the call on Allset, and expect great things. I think from Pipe Hire's team, I've seen their software, and I think it's really this perfect relationship where you and your team and the software company you're building, is helping with the management and the
Yeah.
recruiting process. And then once they're in, Allset's now helping unlock revenue and increase tips. So I'm excited about our relationship, and all of the customers we get to go and serve together. And
Yeah.
website is tryallset.com, and the link has been shared out.
Yeah, I got it here. Thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you so much. It's always energizing talking to you. I feel like we need to get together again and keep our conversations going.
We will. Yeah.
We had a really good time in Chicago, and I been keep thinking on things on all set, and I just haven't shared with you everything, but I think there is a huge opportunity in what you're building, and it's just you're just getting started. So congrats on what you guys are doing and your team, and hope to see you in Tennessee in August.
Likewise, Juan. Grateful for our friendship and partnership here, and excited to continue working together and building great things together.
All right, awesome, Justin. I'll let you go. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Bye bye.